It was supposed to be just another party night of glitter and masks. But when the Vampire King knelt before a trembling child and whispered, "You and your mother are in danger, pretend I'm your father," the entire ballroom fell silent. That single moment rewrote destiny. If you can feel that chill running down your spine right now, imagine what happens next. Don't look away. You're about to witness a love story carved in fear, fire, and redemption. But right before I recorded this, someone told me I'm wasting my time because failures don't get subscribers. Your support can silence those words forever. Please subscribe, and tell me where you're watching from. Let's show him he was wrong. The chandeliers of Ravenstead Hall trembled with music and laughter. Crimson wine flowed like captured moonlight, and mortals danced unaware that half their hosts were not human. At the far end of the grand balcony stood Queen Mariel, polite smile pinned like armor. Her dress shimmered silver, her heart hammered like praise. She came to these peace banquets for one reason only, to secure protection for her daughter, Lyra. A fragile truce kept humans and vampires from tearing each other apart, but tonight something in the air crackled wrong. Below the balcony, the Vampire King moved through the crowd. They said his eyes bled mercury when angry, that he could hear every heartbeat in the room. His name was Alaric. For 200 years, he had spoken little to mortals except when politics forced it, and yet, his gaze had fixed on one little girl hiding behind her mother's gown, twisting her fingers nervously. Lyra. Barely 8, brown curls tumbling like ink-stained silk. She was supposed to be unseen tonight, a ghost among adults. But she looked up, and that's when the world tilted. For a minute, Alaric couldn't move. It was as if time folded and spat him into the past. The scent of rain-soaked violets, the same shade of eyes he once loved centuries ago, it couldn't be. Yet it was. The spark behind that child's gaze mirrored Mariel's, and something older, something his heart recognized before his mind dared to. He crossed the floor. Every vampire attendee stiffened, realizing where he was headed. Mortals whispered, Mariel's smile faltered. She hid her tremor by clutching her champagne glass too hard, splintering its stem. "Your Majesty," she managed, voice thin. Alaric didn't answer. He knelt before Lyra, lowering his head to her level so no one could hear. His voice brushed her ear like a spell. "You and your mother are in danger," he whispered. "Pretend I'm your father." The orchestra missed a beat. He stood up slowly, turned his gaze on the hall, and every immortal creature in the room knew something had changed forever. Lyra blinked up at him, caught between confusion and awe. Mariel's lips parted, terror and recognition flooding her face. Because she knew what no one else did. That was not the first time Alaric had whispered to her blood. No one in the hall breathed for a full heartbeat. Even the violins quieted, their notes dying midair like startled birds. Alaric's words to the child rippled out unseen, but every ancient instinct in the room sensed a shift. Power, old and raw, had flared. Mariel tightened her grip on Lyra's shoulders, forcing a brittle smile. "Your Majesty," she said, voice trembling with royal courtesy, "forgive her curiosity. My daughter can be bold." But Alaric didn't move away. His eyes glowed faintly silver as his gaze swept the balcony rafters, the corners, the shadowed doors, searching, listening. He heard them, foreign heartbeats, too fast, too sharp. Hunters. Lyra's small hand clutched at his sleeve. "Are we really in danger?" she whispered, eyes wide. He did not kneel again, he simply bent his head, enough for only her to hear. "Yes. But if you act afraid, they'll come for you first." That was all she needed. Somehow the child managed to lift her chin, remembering the king's earlier command. She stood straighter and tried to smile as he rested a hand protectively on her shoulder. The scene looked tender, fatherly even, and that was the point. To any watching eyes, The Vampire King had just publicly claimed the girl as his own. Whispers erupted like sparks on dry leaves. The king has a child? With a human? The words rolled from tongue to tongue until even the human nobles felt the chill of taboo crossing the air. Mariel's wineglass shattered fully this time, crystal raining onto her dress like spilled blood. All eyes turned. Alaric straightened, the subtlest snarl threatening his composure. "Clear the northern corridor," he ordered a guard telepathically. "There are armed intruders." And then, without waiting for permission, he took Lyra's hand in his. "Stay behind me," he murmured, voice soft but unarguable. For the first time in a century, fear, real human fear, flashed in his eyes, making him more alive than any creature in the hall. From the balcony above, a figure cloaked in black drew a crossbow. It glinted once under the chandelier. Alaric's eyes snapped up. He moved faster than light. A gasp, a scream, a ricochet of magic against marble. The party was no longer a dance, it was a war zone. If this moment just pulled you in, don't ghost me now. Hit that subscribe button. I stayed up writing this twist while half the city slept, so at least make the sub button worth it. And tell me down in the comments, what would you do if the world suddenly decided your child belonged to a monster? Later, after the hall had emptied of screams and smoke, the candles flickered in long trembling lines down the passageway. Guards swept the estate searching for more intruders. The ball was over, the peace shattered. Mariel stood in the ruins of the east corridor, her gown streaked with soot. "You put a target on her back," she hissed. "You might as well have declared war on both species." Alaric turned from the window, where moonlight painted his face like prophecy. "They already knew," he said. The moment they saw her, the old bloodline stirred. "She's protected now. The world saw me claim her." Mariel's voice cracked. "You had no right." "No right?" His temper flashed bright. "She has my eyes, Mariel." His tone softened just a breath. "You thought I wouldn't feel that?" Silence. Between them, Lyra slept on the velvet chaise, lashes damp with exhaustion. Mariel's expression broke, the mask shattered to reveal the fear underneath. "She's only 8, Alaric. She doesn't know what she is." He looked at the child, and something old inside him faltered. "Half of what she is will destroy her if we do nothing," he said. "The other half already has my heart." Mariel's breath caught, anger twisting into grief. "Don't say words like that. You lost that right when you chose to become what you are." He turned back to the window, voice low. "Be thankful I did. Or both of you would be dead already." Outside, distant thunder muttered, echoing the tension in their voices. He could smell her fear, her guilt, her heart still trying not to remember what they'd once shared when he was still alive, still mortal. He didn't blame her. He'd burned enough bridges to light the stars. Lyra stirred, murmuring in her sleep, a single word, "Father." Both adults froze. Alaric closed his eyes briefly, pain flickering across his face. "She already knows," he whispered. The sound of guards approaching broke the moment. Duty called, but hearts refused to forget. When stories bleed this much emotion, every view, every comment keeps the fire alive. Don't leave without pressing like and joining the fastest growing vampire love stories family. Your support builds the next chapter. Rain hammered the iron gates of Ravenstead like fists demanding entry. The manor, once echoing with laughter and candlelight, had turned into a fortress under siege. The assassins from the ball had vanished into the night, but their message was clear. The Vampire King's claim had drawn bloodlines from shadows older than kingdoms. Mariel had begged to leave, to take Lyra and disappear into the human territories, but Alaric refused. Now she and her daughter were confined to his estate under the pretext of royal protection, watched over by guards who never blinked. Lyra didn't mind it as much as her mother. She liked the library that smelled of parchment and old magic, and the tall, strange man who sometimes watched her read without saying a word. He scared her and fascinated her. Something about him felt familiar, like a bedtime story she wasn't supposed to remember. That evening, thunder rolled close as dusk swallowed the castle. Mariel paced the window, staring past her own reflection. "She's just a child," she said. "She can't live imprisoned under your roof." Alaric stood by the fireplace, flames licking the shadows behind him. His black coat hung open, silver chains gleaming faintly at his chest. "It's not imprisonment," he said quietly. "It's survival. You think I enjoy having two humans under my protection? Every court in the underworld is howling for my head already. For us." Mariel's words trembled. "Or for her." He met her gaze slowly. "You really don't want to know." The air between them pulsed, old history resurfacing, the kind that had left both haunted. Ages ago, before the crown, before the curse, there was a night, a promise, and a human woman he should have never loved. He had walked away to save her, but apparently fate had found its own cruel way to reunite them. Lyra's laugh echoed faintly from the corridor where she chased her reflection down endless glass panels. For that sound alone, Alaric would burn eternity twice. Then a crash, the child tripped, cutting her hand on shattered glass. Mariel gasped, rushing forward, but what happened next froze her mid-stride. Alaric was there before either could blink. He seized Lyra's wrist gently, staring as crimson drops welled up, human blood, glimmering with faint silver shimmer. His pupils dilated. Instinct screamed at him to feed, but he didn't. He bowed his head, trembling, and whispered instead, "She carries light and darkness, in equal measure." And then, in a broken whisper only Mariel heard, "Just like you." Hey, if that revelation jolted your heart the way it did mine while writing at 2 a.m., don't slip away quietly. Subscribe right now, your one click fuels the sleepless nights spinning these stories. Drop a comment too, what would you do if your child carried two bloodlines at war inside her? Later that night, after Lyra was safely in bed, Mariel found herself drawn to the king's study. He stood by the window again, always the window, watching the storm swallow the garden statues one by one. "You should rest," she said softly. "Even vampires need peace sometimes." His mouth quirked in what might have been a smile. "I gave up peace long before you were born." She hesitated by the doorway. "You mean before she was born?" He turned then, and she finally saw the exhaustion in his face, the centuries of it, compressed into night's dark elegance. "You once asked me why I never turned you," he said. "Why I left when I loved you most. Tonight, you deserve to know." Mariel's breath hitched. "Don't. If you don't hear it, the past will eat us alive," Alaric murmured. "There was a prophecy, Mariel. A child born of mortal and night blood would shatter the divide, or drown the world in war. I left to prevent it. But it seems destiny doesn't take no for an answer." Her eyes burned. And now she's that child. Half sun, half shadow. He paused. "Tell me, when did you realize she wasn't entirely human?" Mariel looked away. "When she survived the fever at 2 weeks old. No human baby survives blood loss that severe. That's why I hid her name, changed our homeland, avoided the courts." He stepped closer, voice scarcely a whisper. "All this time, you bore the curse alone." Her hand shook as she tucked a lock of hair behind her ear. "I had no choice. Loving you was already a crime. Bearing your child was treason." Lightning cracked outside, painting their faces ghost white. "Then let treason be our salvation," Alaric said. "I'll protect her, Mariel. Both of you. Even if it kills me again." She looked up into his eyes, the same eyes that had once looked at her across candlelight centuries ago. The same eyes that had promised her forever. Only now they were filled with something heavier than forever, repentance. At the door, Lyra's small voice startled them. "You loved my mother?" Mariel froze. Alaric turned slowly, guilty as dawn. "Enough to break kingdoms, little one. If you've come this far, you're part of the story now. Don't vanish like a silent watcher, join the family by subscribing. We're building a world where love refuses to die, even in darkness." The next morning the rain had stopped, leaving the castle bathed in pale fog. The great hall smelled faintly of rosemary and ash, a strange peace settling over the chaos. Even danger, it seemed, needed to rest. Lyra tiptoed barefoot down the marble corridor, trailing the blanket she refused to part with. Her reflection winked from every mirror she passed, and each one, she seemed just a little taller, braver, more like the mysterious father figure who now haunted her dreams. She found Alaric in the library again, light dripping through the tall windows like liquid gold. He was reading a book older than language itself, yet as soon as she stepped in, his gaze softened. "Can I stay here?" she asked. He pretended to think. "Only if you promise not to rearrange history again. The last time you touched that shelf, the vampire lineage started after the invention of coffee." Lyra giggled, a sound so human, so clean, it stirred something deep in him that he hadn't allowed to live for centuries. "Do you ever smile, sir?" she teased. "Rarely." "Then you should start. My mother says people live longer when they laugh. I'm fairly certain I've already ruined my chance at that." She frowned. Maybe laughter works on vampires, too. Her innocence disarmed him more effectively than any stake ever could. He closed the book and sat opposite her. "Tell me what you see when you look at me, Lyra." She studied him as only a child could, without filters, without fear. "You look sad," she said finally. "But happy that we're safe. Like someone who misses someone even while they're right here." He inhaled sharply. Children always told the truth too easily. "I suppose that's accurate," he murmured. Mariel watched from the doorway, unseen. For the first time, she saw not the Vampire King, but the ghost of the man who once stole her breath with a single look. Lyra sat curled beside him, telling stories, and Alaric, ancient, unbreakable Alaric, was smiling. For 2 hours, the world outside didn't exist. No assassins. No curses. Just light and laughter, and something she thought she'd buried forever. When Lyra grew tired, Alaric carried her gently, brushing a strand of hair from her forehead before laying her down. The touch was almost reverent. Mariel's voice was soft behind him. "You're good with her." He didn't turn. "She deserves everything pure I can still give." "And what about me?" He paused, then quietly, "You're getting it too, one moment at a time." That lingering silence said more than centuries of words ever could. If that warmth hit you right in the chest after all the blood and shadow, don't slip away quietly. Your one comment and click keeps these stories breathing. Tell me below, do you think forgiveness can ever outlive fear? It should have lasted longer, those small glimmers of peace. But destiny is stingy that way, it gives only enough light for you to see what you'll lose. Night fell heavy again over Ravenstead. The wind wailed through the ancient corridors like a warning. Alaric stood by the gatehouse as a messenger arrived from the vampiric court, pale even by undead standards. "Your Majesty," the messenger stammered, avoiding his king's eyes. "The council knows about the child." Alaric's jaw tightened. "And? They demand you surrender her by dawn. If you refuse, the treaty ends." He dismissed the messenger with a flick of his hand, though his heart clenched in a way he hadn't let it for centuries. Surrender her? His own blood? His living proof that redemption might exist? Never. But he knew what their wrath could do to him, to Mariel, to every human still under fragile protection. When he turned back toward the manor, he saw Mariel waiting in the doorway. She'd heard enough. Her face was gray with fear. "They'll kill her, Alaric," she whispered. "They never forgive broken pacts. Do you think your crown will save you?" He moved closer. "I won't let them touch her." "Then you'll doom us all," she cried, slamming her fist against his chest. "You think this is love? It's pride. You're dragging your child into the same war you started the day you became their king." He caught her wrist gently before she could strike again, his voice rough. "Everything I've done to protect what's mine." Tears burned down her face. "You don't own her. You left me to raise her alone. You gave her life, and I gave her sanity. Don't you dare take her from me now." Her words hit harder than any blade. Lyra appeared at the edge of the corridor, bleary-eyed from sleep. "Why are you fighting?" For a moment, neither spoke. Then Mariel, trembling, turned to her daughter. "Go to your room, sweet one. Please." But Lyra stepped forward instead, eyes blazing the same molten silver as her father's. Power hummed silently in the air. "You lied to me," she said. "You told me he was just a story. You told me my father was dead." Mariel's breath hitched. "I was trying to protect you." Lyra shook her head, tears catching light. "Maybe I didn't need protecting. Maybe I just needed truth." The words broke something in all three of them. Thunder cracked. Outside, vampire banners shuddered in the wind. Inside, hearts shattered quietly. Subscribe now before the tears dry on this moment. I'm still editing this with wet eyes. And tell me below, have you ever loved someone so much you ruined everything to keep them safe? The night refused to end. It hung like a verdict over the manor. Every torch outside sputtered in the wind, scattering red sparks across a sky gone blank with dread. After the confrontation, silence divided them like oceans. Mariel packed quietly in Lyra's chamber, laying dresses and a small wooden locket inside a satchel. The mother's hands shook, but her face was set. She meant to flee before dawn. Downstairs, Alaric stood before his throne, the seat of shadows carved with stories of kings who'd turned mercy into myth. He could feel the walls listening, the ghosts of his kind begging him to obey the council. "Protect the bloodline, not the child," they whispered. For a long moment, he wavered. The crown asked for sacrifice. The father inside him wanted only to rebuild what centuries had stolen. He closed his eyes and thought of her laughter in the library, of Mariel's tears when she thought he wasn't watching, of what it meant to love something enough to defy death twice. When he opened them again, his decision was carved into his soul. He went to Lyra's door. Mariel looked up mid-motion, startled. "I'm taking her somewhere safe," she said quickly. "So am I," he answered. "Only difference is, my way works. Your way gets her hunted." "No," he said softly, stepping into the dim light. "My way ends the hunt." Mariel's anger faded into confusion. Alaric knelt before Lyra, resting a hand over her heart. "The prophecy can burn," he murmured. "They wanted a weapon. I'd rather give them peace." He drew a dagger and sliced his palm, silver-white blood gleamed. He pressed it gently against the girl's small hand. For a moment the world held its breath, then a faint shimmer surrounded her, a circle of protection unlike anything old magic had known. Alaric swayed from the strength it cost. Mariel caught him before he fell. "What have you done?" she whispered. "Given her my immortality," he said, voice faint but calm. "If she's untouchable, they can't use her." I'll face the council myself. Mariel's tears fell onto his hands. You'll die. Perhaps, he said with a faint smile, but she'll live. Lyra's trembling voice broke the silence. I don't want to lose you. He reached up, thumb brushing her cheek. Then remember me strong, not ruled. Inside that choice, between power and love, something ancient finally found its mercy. If that sacrifice made your chest ache a little, don't slip away quietly. I poured every drop of night into writing this scene. Show it mattered by hitting subscribe right now. And tell me below, would you give up forever for the person who made you feel alive? Dawn came slowly, as though the sun itself feared what it might find. Mist hung low over the castle ruins, curling around the silent courtyard like ghostly fingers reluctant to let go. The great doors were open, and the Vampire King's throne lay empty. Mariel stood on the steps with Lyra clasped against her side, her eyes swollen but steady. They had watched him ride away hours ago, into the forest of black pines that led to the council citadel. He hadn't looked back. That, somehow, had hurt the most. Wind rustled the banners overhead. One tore free and fluttered down, its crimson thread trailing through the dew like a vein. Lyra bent to pick it up, holding it close. Is he coming back? She whispered. Mariel knelt so they were eye to eye. He promised, she said. And he keeps his promises. Even now. The child nodded, though her lip trembled. She clutched the bit of fabric as if it might beat with his heart. Hours passed. The world waited. Then the air shifted, an almost inaudible hum, like a held breath breaking free. Light gathered at the edge of the forest, rising faintly gold. Mariel took a step forward. From the fog, a figure emerged, bloodied cloak, silver eyes, the weight of impossible survival. Alaric. He stumbled once, then caught himself. The markings on his arms burned faintly, the crown he had once worn was gone. Lyra ran before either adult could move, throwing herself against him. You came back. He cradled her, shaking with exhaustion but smiling weakly. Told you. My kind is stubborn. Mariel reached him, pressing a trembling hand to his chest. What did you do? Ended the council, he said. Not with blood, with truth. They saw what love can make of a monster. They couldn't fight that. You mean they let you live? She whispered, disbelief cracking her tone. For now, he murmured. If they ever return, she must hide among humans again. But they'll think twice before touching her. The three of them stood there, the morning light glinting against the mist. For the first time in centuries, Alaric felt warmth that didn't threaten him. He looked to Mariel. Do you still think I don't know how to smile? She gave a soft laugh through tears. You look terrible. Then that's our peace, terrible, ragged, and real. He kissed her forehead lightly, then looked at their daughter. You're free now, Lyra. Both of you. It's your world, walk in it, love in it, break its rules if you must. Happily, she said, smiling, and for the first time, her eyes looked entirely human. The sun climbed higher, and the last shadow slid off his face. Every story ends somehow. But sometimes, endings feel more like doors opening. And in that pale light, a king, a mother, and a child finally stepped through. 20 years later, the valley around Ravenstead no longer whispered about monsters. The once feared manor had become a sanctuary of overgrown roses, glimmering wards of light floating lazily above its gates. There were no guards, no servants, only peace that hummed quietly like a healed wound. The world had changed. Humans and vampires no longer divided their maps by blood and fear. Trade had replaced treachery, and in the northern towns it wasn't unusual to see pale faces walking beside warm-blooded ones under the same sun. And it had started, everyone said, with a little girl whose eyes held two worlds. Lyra sat on the same marble steps where she'd once watched her father ride away. Now grown, she looked almost like Mariel had before life gave her too much to bear, sharp cheekbones, quiet fire in her eyes. But there was something else too, an unshakable steadiness that came from living between night and day. Her hair shimmered with a thread of silver near the temple, a mark of her immortal inheritance, though her heartbeat still thrummed like any mortal's. She kept a journal. For years it had been her way to speak to a father who came and went like moonlight. The pages were filled with ink smudged by rain, laughter, and once or twice, blood. On this morning, she wrote, "He told me once that forever is only a curse if you forget what you're living for. I think I finally understand." A shadow moved behind her. "You're up early again." Mariel's voice had not changed much. Time had softened her edges without dimming them. There was still that flicker of defiance in every breath, though her hands now bore faint scars from the magic she'd once used to protect her child. "Couldn't sleep," Lyra said, closing the journal. "I dreamed of him again." Mariel joined her on the steps, wrapping her cloak tighter. "He still writes?" Lyra smiled faintly. "Sometimes. In symbols. You know how he is." Indeed, the Vampire King had never truly vanished. Stories said he roamed the unclaimed borders, half diplomat, half myth. Every few months, a falcon with silver feathers would land on the balcony rail, leaving behind a parchment sealed with red wax. Inside, a few words, almost always the same. "Still alive. Still yours." Lyra had memorized each note, though she never showed them to anyone. Mariel tilted her face toward the morning light. He'd laugh if he saw this. Vampires walking their dogs under sunlight. Dogs? Lyra chuckled. He'd have fainted. They laughed softly, the sound mingling with birdsong. It was ordinary happiness, the kind built one unremarkable morning at a time. Later, Lyra walked into town to the school she ran. Children, both human and vampire, waited in the courtyard, chattering about stories and sword drills and how to balance a teacup while reciting ancient treaties. She taught them that peace was not a miracle but a daily choice, and that monsters were mostly what fear made of lonely things. After class ended, a boy lingered by the doorway. "Miss Lyra, is it true your father saved both races?" She paused, tucking a loose strand of hair behind her ear. "That's what people say." "Was he really a king?" "Yes. But the kingship wasn't what made him great." "What did?" Lyra smiled gently. "He learned how to love without possessing." The boy looked baffled, as children do when words reach deeper than they can yet swim, and she tousled his hair. "You'll understand when you grow up." She stayed long after the children left, tidying benches that didn't need tidying, though what she was really doing was waiting. And when dusk tinted the mountains violet, she saw it, the glint of silver wings in the distance. The falcon. Her heart tripped the way it always did. But this time the note tied to its leg looked different, thicker parchment, heavier seal. She untied it, her fingers trembling. "Lyra, I have done what you asked. The old covens have disbanded. Their archives, the ones that spoke of you, are ash. You are safe for as long as memory allows. But the curse of kings is solitude. And I feel my hunger growing thin. I will rest soon, in the vault beneath the northern cliffs. If you ever seek me, follow the river that bleeds light only at dusk. You were my redemption. That is enough." Lyra stood frozen as the wind lifted her hair. A strange calm rolled through her chest, grief and pride braided into something fierce and warm. The falcon gave a low cry and circled away, vanishing into the gathering dusk. That night she didn't sleep. She packed a lantern, a cloak, and the wooden locket her mother had carved long ago. She left a note on the table for Mariel. "Don't worry. He shouldn't have to sleep alone." The journey to the northern cliffs took 3 days. The path wound through forests older than empires, past rivers that whispered secrets in forgotten tongues. On the third evening, the world caught its breath, the sky dimmed to the color of wine, and along the river's surface ran a single streak of scarlet light. "There you are," she whispered. She followed it until she reached a cave mouth glowing faintly from within. Inside lay a stone chamber carved with sigils of both sun and blood, the mark of Alaric's final piece. In its center rested an alabaster coffin, open, empty, waiting. A rumble of air stirred behind her. She turned, and there he was, no longer draped in power but in gentleness, the centuries annulled, his eyes still carrying that impossible mercy. "I wondered how long it'd take you," he said, smiling softly. She moved to him, tears climbing just as easily as laughter. "You didn't really think I'd let you face eternity alone, did you?" He touched her cheek the way he had when she was a child. "You have your own eternity now. Then let me decide where to spend it." Mariel appeared at the cave entrance then, her cloak soaked from rain, her eyes wide with both relief and knowing. "You two never did learn how to say goodbye properly." Alaric's gaze softened. "You still follow your heart before reason, Mariel." "Someone had to." She stepped inside, the three of them forming a small constellation of silence. "What happens now? Another war? Another sacrifice?" "Neither," said Alaric. "Just rest. Just time." They sat together for hours, remembering not battles but small things, Mariel teaching him how to hold a paintbrush when he'd still thought art was for mortals, Lyra's first attempt at calling fire from her fingertips, the peculiar joy of shared meals that tasted of peace. When dawn came again, it did not burn. The first rays eased across the stone, touching Alaric's skin without pain for the first time in his existence. He looked down at his hands, pale, human. Lyra's spell had worked. She had bound the curse and freed the man. He laughed then, low and astonished. "You did it. You gave me immortality of spirit," she said. "I gave you mortality of flesh. Fair trade." Mariel took both their hands, her smile quiet. Perhaps that was the real prophecy, not destruction, not salvation, just balance. Together they walked out of the cave as dawn widened around them. The forest shone gold. The river, no longer bleeding light, carried their reflections side by side, mother, father, daughter, each part of both worlds, each at peace. That day, the last Vampire King set his crown into the river, where it drifted away like a discarded shadow. And if you ever pass through that valley, locals will tell you that at twilight you can still see 3 figures walking the ridge above the mist, laughing softly. Some say they're ghosts, others say they're simply living, finally free. Whatever you believe, the story remains. Because love, when it finally learns to forgive itself, has no ending at all. You made it to the end of their journey. That means the story did its job, it made you feel. If these words left even a hint of warmth or ache in you, don't leave it unspoken, hit subscribe right now, and join our little family of night readers. Tell me in the comments where you're reading from. I still smile at the idea of these tales traveling farther than the king ever did. Every click, every word you share, keeps these stories alive. And who knows, maybe somewhere, Alaric and Lyra are listening, waiting for the next pulse of human hearts to remind them they're not forgotten. If your heart's beating a little faster right now, don't just vanish, show that this story meant something. One tap on subscribe tells me to keep building these worlds for you. Tell me below where you're watching from too. I love knowing which corners of the world still believe in love that survives the dark. Because after all, stories like this only live if someone out there still listens.